أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. We discuss about one of the etiquettes of dua and supplication to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we learn from Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, that is starting our supplication with hamd and praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and his actions. And even we mentioned that it is in the Holy Quran, the word of Allah, the same style is there. Allah started his book with the chapter of Hamd, or Surah Al-Hamd, which is the Fatihatul Kitab, and beginning of this holy book is with that. And that surah starts with Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. So to get more of the blessings of the du'as and supplications, and even when we want to offer the daily prayers, it's very good if we can reflect for a few moments on some close and tangible praiseworthy thing toward us, and especially if we can have some attention to the details of them, we will see how it will be impacting the value, the meaning, and the spirits that dua and that supplication will bring toward us. Now let's see, after the sentence that Imam Zaman alayhi salatu wasalam starts with Allahumma inni aftatihu thana'a bihamdik, same style here applies. Oh Allah, I begin my glorification by praising you. After this sentence that I gave a little bit of points about that, how Imam alayhi salam continues to draw our attention to one of the very important beauties around us that normally we take it for granted. When someone decides to do good, it is Allah who leads them toward it. Anyone in the world has done anything good or will do anything good, the first thing is they should understand what is good and what is bad. They should be able to differentiate between good and bad, which is an action being done by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then Allah drops the thought in their mind to think about doing that good thing, working toward that. Allah also motivates them, attracts them, and let it to be something nice in their mind. They understand this is good and they are attracted toward that. And also Allah eases the way for them to be able to do that. There are more into that, but let's focus on the beginning. If I'm not able to differentiate what is good and what is bad, I can never understand good. I can even never think about doing good. And I'm not doing a good thing randomly. Now, if I'm confused, if I don't know what is good and what should I do, it takes me to have sincere ask and intention from Allah, and Allah will provide the insight to direct me, to guide and lead me toward the righteousness. And of course, the more I am obedient to Allah, the more I'm implementing those things that I got the insight, this is good, the more I can be guided toward that, meaning Allah will guide me more and more and more. Now, let's imagine if we could not distinguish between good and bad. Evil and goodness was equal for us. If we felt no difference when we are hearing about any action of kindness versus we are hearing of cruelty, then our moral compass would completely lost. Imagine that scenario. Our ability to recognize right from wrong is a really important divine gift of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that sets us apart all other creatures. Every moment we realize something is good and we feel motivated toward doing it, regardless it's small or big, regardless of the impact, even any tiny good thing, it is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who guides us toward that. And Allah is repeatedly calling us toward goodness, and we find that deep in our heart, yet we fail to notice, yet we fail to look at that as a blessing of Allah. We take it for granted as if, yeah, I am the smart person who understands that. Yes, I am the one who did this charity. Yes, I am the one who understands this and that. Yeah, you are, but by the blessing of Allah, Allah is the one who enabled you to understand smallest things. Otherwise, everything was for you same. So let's reflect on this valuable blessing of Allah, which is called aql, or our intellect. and let's don't take it for granted. This sentence of the dua that Sahib Zaman alayhi salatu wasalam is the second sentence of this dua. He started with praising, and this is another way of praising with having attention to one of the very important blessings of Allah, which encompasses all of our life and different directions of our life. وَأَنْتَ مُسَدِّدٌ لِلصَّوَابِ بِمَنِّكَ. If I am able to find sawab, which is not thawab, so thawab is a reward, but sawab with sad is the goodness, the truth, the right. If I'm able to do that, oh Allah, you are the one who is behind that. Moreover, Imam ﷺ draws our attention to another important thing. First, our attention to understand and realize, acknowledge, aql, your intellect, your wisdom is not yours. It's something granted by Allah. It's being granted by Allah to you. Each and every simple or great or complicated good thing you differentiate from evil, that's a blessing of Allah. Now, at the end of the sentence, Imam is saying, bimannik. This is a favor from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Meaning, Allah is not obliged to let me be like this aqil and intellectual to understand good. No, that's a favor of Allah on me, on anyone in this whole world, that He is guiding them toward good. No one inherently entitled to this guidance. It's purely Allah's favor and minnah on us. We owe, not Allah owes to me. I owe to Him everything, plus, in this case especially, we owe to Him that, oh Allah, I did something good. Instead of being proud, I feel now I owe to you more because you are the one who enabled me to understand what is good. And that's another blessing for you. And you are the one who let me succeed that. You are the one who empowered me for that. You are the one who let all of the barriers and obstacles be removed and I could succeed the good thing. So with completing one good action, I owe Allah much more than before. Because without His guidance, I could not even understand what is good and what is bad. I was like animals. I was like some mad or insane people. And again, to draw our attention to the value of this important blessing, let's compare our life with the life of some mad people. Those people who Allah didn't give them and granted them aql. Just look at their life, look at what they do, look at what they don't understand, and everybody feels pity for them. Everybody feels, yeah, poor people like that. I could be like that person. Just imagine, I could be like that person. What differentiates me? What sets me out from these people? Something which is granted by Allah. And when I say granted, it's not something happened in the past. Allah has granted my aql, and Allah is granting me my aql currently in this moment. Because next moment, I again need my intellect. And the next moment and the next moment is something current. Allah keeps granting me with His blessing. In this case, we're talking about the very important blessing of aql and intellect. So when we look at the sentence of Imam Zaman alayhi وَأَنْتَ مُسَدِّدٌ لِلصَّوَابِ بِمَنِّكَ, oh Allah, whatever good deeds anyone, not only me, anyone in this whole world has done, from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, peak of creation, peak of obedience and worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Amir al-Mu'minin, and Lady Fatima, all the way to anyone else, first and the most, you are the one to be praised because you did the guidance and you led them toward that, and you are leading me toward that as well. So I acknowledge that and I thank you and I praise you for that. And I again acknowledge this is a minna and a favor from you on me or on anyone. And if I want to recompensate this single invaluable blessing, I can thank you. I cannot thank you enough. Never ever. Because whatever I do again goes back to be needy, to aql, to be able to understand what is good from what is bad. So to conclude, this view will inshallah shift our perspective, following the view of Sahib al-Zaman alayhi salatu wasalam, following the view of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, that we find them in their lifestyle, and especially that will be projected for us if we go through the du'as, and as we said, as a treasure of knowledge, insight, and ma'rifah. Now, Imam started his glorification, his conversation, his supplication with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by praising him. But praise is not one word. As you see here, the second sentence is also praisal. But now he paid attention and he draws our attention to very special, important blessing of Allah. That is aql, that is intellect, and that is guidance of Allah in general. So I'm not limiting this to be only aql. So the guidance through the Holy Quran, the guidance through the messengers of Allah, all of those are also included in this sentence. But even aql, which is accessible for everyone who is aql, intellectual, is very tangible and understandable for us. That shapes our existence in this way that we are in. And Imam awakens us that, hey, mankind, you are not self-sufficient in your goodness. You are relying on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You're dependent on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in each and every moment of doing anything good. Yet we often overlook Allah's role and take His guidance for granted. Let us start going through this journey with Imam alayhi salatu wasalam and reflect more and more on every moment we are doing good and be thankful and praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for His blessings.